Shalom everyone, and today we're going to start Parashat Kedoshim, which is the weekly portion, the book of Leviticus, Vayikra, chapter 19, verse 1. And here we start by Daber Adonai Moshe Lemor, and God speaks to Moses, saying, and then verse 2, Daber el kol adad bnei Yisrael, v'amarta alehem kedoshim tihiyu, Ki kadosh ani Adonai Elohechem. Speak to the whole congregation of the children of Israel. It's a very, all the commentators are very precise about it's the whole congregation, and you tell them, Kedoshim tihiyu. Now, what does it mean? Kedoshim means holy in plural. Kedoshim tihiyu, you will be holy. Ki kadosh ani Adonai Elohechem, because I am holy, the Lord your God. What is the meaning behind it? So the Zohar wants to clarify the idea in a very important way, because the Zohar says, just a second. Okay, we'll come to it later, but the Zohar says the way it's being written, again, a lot of times you have in the Torah, people get the meaning according to their expectation, not according to the way it's written. Why? Because it says, the Zohar is teaching us, Kedoshim tihiyu, you will be holy. What does it mean? The Zohar is teaching us that is a promise. Most commentators explain that Kedoshim heyu, which means it's a commandment, you are supposed to be holy. Now, telling somebody to be holy, how can you, let's say we all want to be holy. That means that we are holy? No, it needs to become holy. You need to become, it's a process. You need to transform yourself gradually over time through watching your speech, watching what you eat, watching the way you behave, your relationship with others, according to the way it's being described in Parashat Kedoshim, but all over the Torah, not just in Parashat Kedoshim. And what most people think, this is too much for me. Only few people can become holy, which means that God gave the Torah on Mount Sinai only for few people. All the rest of the people, it's not for them. So why everybody had to be on Mount Sinai? You can have only a chosen few standing on Mount Sinai, and the whole Torah is just for them. No, the Zohar does not agree. The Zohar is very precise. Kedoshim, it says clearly, if you understand the Hebrew grammar, Kedoshim tihiyu means you will be holy. If it was an order, a commandment, it should have been written Kedoshim heyu, not tihiyu. Tihiyu means you will be, future tense. Heyu means you're supposed to be, you're ordered to be. It says future tense, and the Zohar says that means that this is a promise. Why is it a promise? Because there's something in Parashat Kedoshim that is taking us to the core of the whole Torah. The core, which means the whole experience of what is the Torah, what is the Exodus, what is Mount Sinai, Revelation, what is the purpose of the creation, it's all concentrated in Parashat Kedoshim. In a very peculiar way, very precise, very focused, and there are many, many, many proofs for that in many places. I'm going to bring them over in the next few minutes that we have. So let us start with the Zohar itself. And the Zohar is starting with the Parashah Kedoshim, how important it is to study the Torah. And the Zohar starts with kind of allegory. בכמה פעמים העידה התורה בבני אדם, this is verse 1 in the Zohar. How many times the Torah is witnessing, demanding people? The Torah is raising its voice. It's like there's a kind of personification of the Torah as someone who is begging, yelling, screaming, demanding, as an entity, as an entity of its own. And people do not listen. And they all sleep in with their sins. They do not look, אינם מסתכלים, אינם משגיחים, they do not watch. באיזה פנים יקום ליום הדין העליון? With what face they are going to rise for Judgment's Day? כשמלך העליון נתבע מהם לבון התורה. When is Judgment Day? There are two versions. One is the end of the days, but it's not that precise, because Judgment Day is a day when a person leaves this world, and now he has to meet the account of the consequences of the way he lived his life. We get a life as an opportunity for achievement of some greatness or big greatness. That's why we are born in a human body, in order to overcome the limitations of the physical reality and achieve greatness. Why achieving greatness? So the Zohar is teaching us we were born in the image of God, and therefore the only way we can manifest that is overcoming our limitations in the physical world and create the godliness within ourselves. It's not a matter of a choice. Sooner, in the big picture, sooner or later, we are going to be led into this lifetime or another lifetime, these kind of challenges or other kind of challenges. Finally, we'll have to say, yes, I do. I am willing, I am excited about becoming what I was created for, to be a human being that was created in the image of God, and he basically stepping up to the plate in order to take that responsibility. This is very crucial in order to understand what are we doing. Why did I wake up in the morning this morning? Why am I going to sleep? Why do I have to face all kinds of challenges every day? Every day, there's no day without challenges. But people do not want to take responsibility for that. So who is the one who is going to make that happen? So it's the Torah. So when it says that the divine king, המלך העליון, נתבע מהם עלבון התורה הצועק כנגדם. The divine king is going to basically pay us the consequences for ignoring the Torah. כי כולם פגומים בכל, because everybody is blemished. שאינם יודעים האמונה של המלך העליון, because they do not know the אמונה, the faith and the connection to the supreme king. אוי להם ואוי לנפשם. Woe to them, woe to their soul. כי התורה מעידה בו ואומרת, מי פתי יסורנה וחסר לב אמרה לו. Again, it continues. And then comes verse 3. כי כך למדנו, we already learned, כי כל מי שאינו עוסק בתורה, who is not occupied with the Torah. What does it mean? It doesn't mean that you are sitting and learning Torah daily. It means that whatever you do it while the laws and the consciousness and the ideology of the Torah occupies your mind and your heart, and therefore, this is how you behave. The Torah is not a text to learn in order to, to be okay. No, the study of the Torah is meant to affect the way we behave, the way we think, the way we relate to everything that happens to us. The Torah is basically a state of mind that we need to download into ourselves and internalize. It should become part of the way we think, feel, analyze, experience reality. Why is that so? Because, as Zohar says, whoever is not doing that, it is forbidden, asur likrav etzlo lishtatef imo. Verse 3. You cannot be, it is forbidden to be close to him, to be partner with him. Why? It's dangerous. לעשות עמו מסחר, to trade with him. וכל שכן ללכת עמו בדרך, and of course, walk with him on the road. כי אין בו אמונה. When a person does not have faith, is unpredictable. You have no idea when he's going to stab you behind your back or in your face. ולמדנו, כל אדם שהולך בדרך ואין עמו דברי תורה, הוא מחויב מתחייב בנפשו. And we learn that whoever walks on the road, takes a journey, and is not with the words of Torah, that is dangerous. And of course, it is dangerous if you are walking on the road. It means taking a journey or the journey of taking a partnership, a business venture with someone who does not have emunah. Emunah means faith and connection to the Creator. Because a person does not have faith, he does not consider the honor of his master. He has no one to answer to. And therefore, his motivations, his motive is so different and unpredictable. And therefore, Zohar continues, the person who does not consider the honor of his master, the master of the universe, does not consider himself. And he has no mercy for his own soul. This is crucially important to understand, because that is the key expression of all what we're doing over here. I'm reading verse 4. Whoever has no mercy for his soul, which means he walks along people with no faith. He goes, how he's going to bring a holy soul to his son. It's a big question that is being dealt in the rest of the Parashah, and the point is like this. This Parashah, I want to explain that okay, here it is. Verse 13 in the Zohar. והתורה נקראת קדושה, and the Torah is called holy. שכתוב כי קדוש אני השם, as it says in the beginning of the Parashah, because I am holy, says Hashem, says God. Okay, וזוהי התורה. And the Torah is also called holy. Shishem HaKadosh HaElyon. The Torah is the name of God. The Torah is full of God's names. The whole Torah is just an accumulation of God's names. So what is the Torah? Is it a name? Is it a meditation? Is it a text to study? Is it history? So the Zohar explains, Al ken mi she'osek ba nithar. Whoever is dealing with the Torah gets purified. V'achar kach mitkadesh, and then gets sanctified, becomes kadosh, holy. So what is the purpose of the Torah? So we went through that in many times before. The Zohar is very adamant about stating the idea that Torah is not a history book. The Torah is not a storytelling book. The Torah is not a beautiful book to inspire us. The Torah is a remedy. The Torah is the remedy for the number one problem of this world: human evil. Evil is coming from humanity, and it's coming from the body controlling the soul. The only way you can heal this state of imbalance is by the connection to the Torah. Study. But this is not study. If it says that the Torah is a name, that sounds like a meditation. So when you study the Torah, you have to be, as it says in many places, you have to be wired, concentrating, focused on that the study of the Torah is not an intellectual endeavor or intellectual exercise. The study of the Torah is a vehicle for purification of the inner aspect of every human being. This is the purpose of the Torah. So, as it says in the Midrash, Barati Yetzer Hara, Barati Torah Tavlin. God says, I created the evil inclination, and I created the Torah as the remedy. The Torah is not an interesting book. The Torah is a remedy disguised as a book full of stories. Stories, religion, miracles, all of that. This is not what the Torah is about. The Torah is a remedy. So when you study the Zohar, it has to be not a study on the intellectual aspect, because then you'll have a lot of problems, because the Torah is not an intellectual text. The Torah is a text that is meant for one purpose, to remedy our ailment, and that is where our state of mind should concentrate when we study the Torah. It's a contemplation. It's a kind of meditation. So it's a transformative learning. And that means that our mind and our heart should be focused on that purpose when we study the Torah. And by the way, in many other places, it says studying the Torah not for that purpose is not legal. What does it mean not legal? It's a book to read. No, it's a remedy. And you know, on every remedy that you buy in the pharmacy, there are many, many warnings against using the remedy not as prescribed. The remedy is for healing our souls, purifying ourselves, till finally we can become holy ourselves. This is the purpose of the Torah. So, and that's why, here's the quote I was looking for before, Kedoshim tiyu, when it says, you will be holy, Kedoshim heyu lo katuv, it doesn't say you should be holy, or you have to be holy. It doesn't say Kedoshim heyu, ela tiyu, you will be. It's not in a mandatory, like is not in an order, the structure of the verb, but as a promise. כלומר, שהובטחה, because this is a promise. שעל ידי התורה תהיו קדושים. Using the Torah will make you holy. On one condition, you have that goal in your mind, you know that this is the remedy and you know what is the cure. It's not going to happen on its own. Okay, so now that we understand that, and we understand that the Torah is not a textbook, it's not a book for information. The information is hidden in between the lines, and if you read the oral Torah, the Torah Sheba'al Peh, the Mishnah, the Midrashim, the Talmud, and later on all the layers of commentary, you realize how much is hidden among the words of the Torah, and how much you cannot find it if you're not really looking for it. So now the Zohar continues, verse 14 in the Zohar of Parashat Kedoshim. And I'm reading from the commentary of Rabbi Ashlag. למדנו קדושת התורה היא קדושה העולה על כל הקדושות. The holiness of the Torah is higher than any other holiness. וקדושת חוכמה עליונה סתומה עולה על הכל. And the holiness of the divine upper chokhmah, wisdom, is above all of it. So, does the Torah contain that wisdom or not? Because the Torah is physical. We can read it. We can hear it. You can understand. You can argue with the text. וקדושת חוכמה עליונה סתומה עולה על הכל. אמר לו, אין תורה בלי חוכמה, ואין חוכמה בלי תורה. So he answers, you can't have Torah without wisdom. There's no wisdom without Torah. הכל מדרגה אחת היא. It's all in one level. הכל אחד, it's all one. אלא התורה נמצאת בחוכמה עליונה ושם עומדת, ובה ניטעו השורשים מכל הצדדים. The Torah is part of the divine wisdom. And that's where it stands. And all its roots have been planted over there. Okay, so, and what does that mean? Verse 16, and this is the key for our parasha. Tani Rabbi Abba. Rabbi Abba is teaching. Parashat Ada Klala Doraita Hi. This parasha is the inclusive rule of the whole Torah. V'chotama dekushta gushpanka hi. And this is the seal of the great king. In this parasha, divine secrets of the Torah are being revealed, like never before. Be'asar amiran, with 10 sayings, וגזרין ועונשים, ופיקודין עילאין, אחד מתן חוויה לפרשת העדה, הבו חדן. There were also decrees and punishments in this parasha, and great precepts. Great, what is wrongly said, translated as commandments. Okay? However, when the friends came to this parasha, they were happy. Echad matan chavraya lepashat hada, havu chadan. What's the reason for the happiness? So, let me explain. Ramad Rabbi Abba, Parashah Kedoshim, verse 16. This is the whole inclusive, concentrated patch of the whole Torah. So, what does it mean? We know in this parasha, for instance, you have the most famous verse, and this verse is when we have two versions of the same story, and the two versions are about the first, the older version. It's related to Hillel, the elder, that a convert came to him and said, teach me the whole Torah while I'm standing on one foot. And Hillel is really making a very strong effort, and finally he says, do not do to others what you don't like to be done to you. which the commentator is saying this is basically love others as you love yourself, which is in this parasha, chapter 19, verse 18, לא תיקום ולא תיטור את בני עמך ואהבת לרעך כמוך אני השם. You should not have revenge and no vengeance with your nation. You should love your fellow person as yourself. I am God. This is the original verse. When you hear about loving others as you love yourself, it's here for Parashah Kedoshim. And that is the inclusive law of everything, which means if I understand that loving others is such a high level, how would I understand that? And then we have another version, more than 100 years later, Rabbi Akiva, another convert, goes to him and said, teach me the whole story, the whole Torah while standing 1 foot. And Rabbi Akiva says again, love others as you love yourself. Now, what's the connection? Because studying the Torah is a religious text. Loving others, it's a human idea. You know, everybody wants to be loved. It's very hard to love everybody, but everybody wants to be loved. So everybody they will agree for the law of loving others, you love yourself. And of course, that means that you're going to give me whatever I'm asking from you, and also the approval. That's okay to do. This is not exactly what it means, because where it says in verse 18, ואהבת לרעך כמוך אני אדוני. Love others as you love yourself. I am God. So what is the meaning of that verse? So Rabbi Ashlag is opening our eyes in his essay, The Giving of the Torah, Sefer Matan Torah. And in that essay, he's bringing those quotes, and he's asking, how can we even say that the whole Torah is just loving others as you love yourself? And he answers, and the answer is like this. How do you know? And he says like this, every psychologist knows that loving another human being is totally unnatural, illogical to all of us. Why? Because human beings are born selfish. Yetzer lev ha'adam ra minurav, it's written in Parashat Bereshit. We're born selfish. And because of that great, extended selfishness that just grows daily, okay, as our body grows, our assets grow, as everything, you see people with a terrible attitude towards life, which means entitlement, ego, whatever you call it. It's all coming because we are being brainwashed in our materialistic society. It's all about your name. So if you make a good name, there's a chance you're going to stay in the company this way or another. However, if there's a little blemish, the company will get rid of you as soon as possible. Okay, so why love others as you love yourself is so crucial over here? What's the connection? We know that we need to be nice to each other. Does that mean that that's loving others? Isn't that too much, too extreme? And the Zohar explains. And the Zohar says as follows. We are all, as humans, we are born stuck in our own filthy, suffocating box. We can remember that as kids, that as you grow, you start to feel the blockages. You start to feel the confinement. You start to realize that your brain, your thinking is somehow limited, especially today. Universes are opening daily, like universes of wisdom. So that a human being is incapable of learning all of them. So what is what does Hillel the Elder or Rabbi Akiva mean when they say love others as you love yourself? This is the greatest principle. And the answer is as follows. Rabbi Ashlag explains to us that basically for human being to perceive, to get the idea of God, a personal God, that is connected to all of us equally. In order to understand that, you need to get out of yourself, what we call getting out of the box. You're stuck in the box. And in the box, there are four sides. You have Chesed on the right, Gvura on the left, Tiferet on the center, and you have Malchut on the back. You have the whole structure, the four legs of the arm, of the chair, as the Zohar calls it. It's done. You are in confinement. You are in your own prison. How are you going to get out of it? You need to learn to feel other people. How? I'm stuck in my box. Yes, but there's certain windows opening. Eyes, ears, mouth, nose. You can interact with other people. You can get hurt. People not always nice. However, if you do not give up, when you interact with other people that are meant for that, as the Zohar explains in many places, okay, that will be amazing, but you can do functioning at work, whatever. If you have like great men or women coming to help you, that could be amazing. However, we're just showing how dependent we are. Why are we dependent on others? So Rabbi Ashlag explains to us, since human beings are very much into confinement, which means I am busy doing my own job, the best way for someone, I have no idea who he's the great boss, he's the owner of the company, or maybe the stockholders. Okay, when you do that, you have a problem because you can't see the CEO of the company and you can't see the shareholders. It's kind of unrealistic. So where do you start? First of all, you have to get out of your box, which means we can self-sustain ourselves today even. You know, once upon a time, there was no possibility like this. But today, people can do that. You can sustain yourself without needing anyone. Oh, of course, you need to pay the electric bills, but the moment you have it into routine, you don't need anybody's favors. So this is exactly what human life is about. God, according to Rabbi Ashlag, and it says in Parashah Vayera in the Zohar, God created human beings with lax and great desires. The only way to fulfill those desires, you need to achieve it with the help of other souls. In order to build a better world, you need to interact with others. And God, as that Zohar continues, Parashat Vayera, gave us the urges and the needs that not necessarily you can find it with your parents. So what do you have to do? You can find it in yourself. You need to reach out for others to get help. When you get to others and you reach to others, then you learn who they are. Then you learn how they live. And only then you can say, wow, that person is an inspiration. Oh, wow, that person is, I don't want to go to that place anymore. Well, what does it mean? A human being, mentally, psychologically, says Rabbi Ashlag, cannot get out of his box and really understand somebody else unless he has some basic spiritual understanding and he understands that when we're in a dire need for help, other people can help us, and that will be my inspiration, my fertilization, and that will lift us up to another level. So when is that going to be doing that? Is when we love, as it says over here, love, ואהבת לרעך כמוך, and you should love the other person as yourself. I am Hashem. I am God the Creator. Why is that necessarily over here? And the idea is very genius, says Rabbi Ashlag. When people basically are in need and they realize, being smart enough, that all what they need other people have, so you need to be very nice to other people, so they will be willing to give you the ability, the permit to use what they've got. One neighbor, you can borrow his bicycle. Another neighbor, you can borrow his painting tools. And so on, as there's no end to it. But you need neighbors. You need other people in front of you. So what happens when you interact with these people and you ask them to do you favors? That's infuriating. This is like people did it. What is it? Why? Because, why do I need to break my pride and to go to a foreigner and say, hello, good afternoon, how are you, Mr. This and this, how are you, Mrs. So-and-so? And, it happens to be that I have a very precious thing to give you, but you have also a very precious thing if you can give it to me. And then you go into discussion and you become friends. Why did you become friends? Because you need something that they have. Because you need a certain branch growing in his garden, because you need that branch to the wedding. Your wedding, let's say, or building a house. Doesn't matter. Whatever we need, other people have it. So we should be codependent with others, which means interact. Well, here's what I have, here's what I need. And then we can trade. And when we trade, we learn slowly how to consider each other, how to understand each other, how to be aware of each other. And when we learn to be aware of someone that is totally outside of our world, because, as we know, whatever we think we see outside, Rabbi Ashlag is saying, is basically the light rays. When they come through our pupil inside our eyeball, and then it hits those nerve cells, and they send a message to our back brain. And then my brain is creating a picture according to what our nervous cells send us. So where is my consciousness? Outwards? No, inwards. Inside that figuring out of my brain. So what do? I do what my brain tells me it sees. I can't see more than that. So the brain can also invent all kinds of stuff. Because if you want a definition of certain scientific discoveries, and you can find on the internet, you can find sometimes few great scholars explain the same physical rule in a total different sense. Why is it that one of them I do understand, the other one I don't understand? And when I understand, I'm not worthy of understanding. Why is it like this? So when we really try to be there with others, to be for others, we really care, this is when we start to find our calling. What was the calling? When it says that so when people ask genuinely from God, when is it you ask genuinely from God? When you ask for yourself? No, only when you ask for yourself, you are lost. Why are you lost? Because it's just for me. And that's finite. This is finite. In total secretary, this is infinite. So when the miracle happened, as it says, and we come out of our box and we really care unconditionally, generally, authentically, we really care for others, this is the only way to get out of our dungeon, our physical, materialistic frame of thinking that we define ourselves as such. Then we realize something bigger than that. When we love others as we love ourselves, it's so easy. We know how hard it is because the other human being that we try to love, they're not, most of the time, they don't really cooperate. More than that, they give us all the excuses in the world why I shouldn't love them. Because, people, they're very good in making mistakes. So here the mistake is like this, and here the mistake is like this. And then you have to be careful about those humans around you because they can easily break everything in your life. So in order to be there for others, to trust them, that's a real engagement. However, the only one, as it says, "Ve'ahavta le'reacha kamocha," you should love your friend as yourself, Ani Hashem. I am God. Which means, why do I want you to get out of yourself? Why do I want you to free yourself from your own bondage, from your own body, for your own consciousness that is motivated by the materialistic brain? You can do that. You can get out of it. How? When we really care for others, we really care for others with that state of mind that they are also of the image of God. And therefore, I have to be there for them. Why? Because. But I'm not going to pay you for that. That's not important. It serves my calling. I was created to have the image of God. I was created to be God's priest on earth. When this is my state of mind, I'll be able sooner or later to get out of the judgment and the dungeon and be there in that place of earning chesed, loving kindness. That's only when, as it says, love others as yourself, I am God. This is a very important aspect. This is indivisible. You cannot love others as you love yourself without loving God. And Rabbi Ashlag explains why is it so important. When you bring the idea of loving others as you love yourself to any kind of a group of young people who want to change the world, let us go and change the world. We are the young. We are the strongest. We are the future. And then it falls apart as you grow older. Not because it is impossible, because you're not using the proper method. That is a problem. And what is the proper method? So when you study the Torah, and when it says, "V'ahavta le'reacha kamocha ani Hashem," you love others as you love yourself because I am God. That's the end of the verse, which means, why do I have to love somebody else? Because this is my way to connect to my godly image. This is the most important thing. So when I care for others, when I fulfill all of these precepts found in Parashah Kedoshim, that basically the summary the Zohar shows us of all 10 inscribed on the 2 tablets. It's like a repetition. Why is it a repetition? Because when we go to Mount Sinai Revelation, where it says on the 3rd day they were standing in front of Mount Sinai, and then it says, "Vayichad sham Yisrael keneged ha'ar," and Israel camped in front of the mount. And in Hebrew, there's a difference between camped, single, or camped, plural. Vayichad is single, Vayachanu is plural. It says Vayichad. And Rashi is explaining, this is a midrash, Ke'ish echad belev echad, as one person, as one heart. When all the Israelites, because of all the hardship in Egypt, and the 10 plagues, and the 4 weeks intense journey to the desert, let go of their bodily materialistic state of mind, and they simply said, love others as you love yourself, then they were capable of connecting to God. Only then, not before that. And that is what we're talking about. Why is that important? Why? Because when we observe that idea, which is everybody loves the idea, love others as you love yourself, of course I want that to happen. It won't happen without the effort. So, I'll do whatever I can. No. You have to understand that if your actions are conditioned so you will connect to God, when you serve other people, and you do it for the purpose of serving God, the more you serve, the greater you feel. Why? Because you are sure that you're getting rewarded from where? From God. But if you try to be a communist, let's say, or humanistic, there's no God. It's a great idea to love others. And you love others. And you know what others do? Like usually people do, they become ungrateful. And what happens then? This is when the test is the strongest. Why? Because naturally will react after all what I've done for him. This is how he reacts to me. This is how he attacks me. This is how he disgraces me. And that's what Rabbi Ashlag is explaining to us. When you have a society of which people obey the rules, do not steal, do not kill, do not covet your wife's, your neighbor's wife, and so on and so forth. And you don't do that because you know that's what's lifting you up to connect to God. You have a reward because every time you overcome your urges to steal, to cheat, to lie, to badmouth, to just speak not nice to somebody else, and you say, no. If I want to connect to God and to be holy, I cannot do that. So I stop my mouth and I stop my heart. And I'm trying to be in that most genuine place that I love the other person just because he's there. When I do that, I get closer to God. I get light from God. When I get that light can purify my confined consciousness. This is how Rabbi Ashlag explains it. However, he says, when you do it because it's a humanistic, beautiful rule, or because it's communism or stuff like this, and you really believe in communism, and sooner or later you realize that when you give to people, you get the same. And sooner or later you will say, why should I bother? Why should I bother? Be so nice to others. They don't reciprocate. They don't really appreciate. They don't really care for that. They're not really thankful. They don't even give you a bit of what you gave them. When you think like this, in a society that is based on materialistic faith values, the result will be that sooner or later, you will stop trying to care for others because you know they never see you. They will never reciprocate. So that moment, you feel empty, drained. You don't have the energy to go on giving. Maybe another time, maybe a third time, no more than that. And what's the result? Would there be any loving others as you love yourself? Of course not. Because it's too much energy to invest, and you get too little. Why? Because there's no emunah, as we said before. Rabbi Ashlag explains, if I had the emunah, the consciousness that everything is part of the journey to spiritual growth, And I study that again and again in the Torah, in the Zohar, commentaries, doesn't matter. That makes my brain, it's like, you know what? This is like you raise a sail in the ocean, and you know how to manipulate the sail with the wind. But if you don't do that, and you try to break the precept, which means loving others with all your might, the sail will get you turned over, because you won't know how to do it. Why? Because, as I said, people are not known for being thankful or appreciative. Most of the times when we share with others, they're too busy either thanking or being appreciative. So what do you say? Two ways. Either you say, I am there for them unconditionally, because that is my way to connect to God. As he says, love others as you love yourself. I am God. You want to connect to me? Love others. Oh, there are many others. Other rules over here. When you follow, it doesn't matter how many, what we rule from the Torah. And you know, this is my way to get closer to Hashem, my way to get closer to the Creator. When I know that, says Rabbi Ashlag, I get energy, I get spiritual holy light from the Creator, and that light strengthens me, purifies me, revives me, and it makes me alive. When a person has no meaning, which means, why am I giving to other people? Because that will create a better society. But our society is made of millions of people. So if I'm not going to give all the best, it's not going to hurt that much. What will be the result? So look carefully. In the last century, you see how nations all over the world, in a slow, gradual process, went away from God-fearing nations, and this was the main thing in the educational system, into humanistic nations, progressive liberal nations. We are nice to people, everyone, just because we're supposed to. It's nice. And what is the result? What happens, says Rabbi Ashlag, to the growth of the economy when a person is not convinced so much that his giving means something, he's not going to do the giving. So when people are really honest in business, honest with the tax authorities, with their friends, family, and so on, when people are really honest because they know they have to do it, because why? They have to answer to a higher authority. As we said before, the Zohar said, when a person has no faith, he has no mercy to his soul. Because the moment you starve your soul, you say, no, there's no God. We behave according to the rules we invent. And because we live in a world that there's no real truth, it's all narrative. And every person has his own truth, and you have to respect his truth. So my truth right now is that, why should I work so hard for others? They don't care anyway. So societies collapse. The success of a society, a nation, a company, is directly related to the motivation of the individual. The more meaning, if you read Viktor Frankl's book about how much people need meaning, a vision, something greater than life. If people don't have that meaning, they're basically cruel to their own soul. Because if I'm giving, You know, you have to be nice, you have to give to everybody. And everybody, all of us know, people who do that, they do it till they give up. Because you need a lot of power to be able to do it. But if you know, you have a vision, you have what is called faith. You know that by working hard to be honest, productive, with people, with God, everything around you, when you know you do it because that's your spiritual journey and you feel the sparks of light coming from God, filling you up every time you're honest, although it doesn't pay so much. You're working hard, although you're not always getting as much reward monetarily as you expected to. And that does not make you disappointed because I don't do it for them. I do it for my own soul because I'm doing it because that's my way to connect to God. You have to remember this is the key issue in the big World War III that we're in the midst of that world. The fight is between those kind of people that they say there's no God and we don't want God in our lives. We want him out of the public domain, out of public space, and there's no absolute truth. And therefore, what is the result? You see all over the world how societies collapse. While, if you remember just a few decades ago, the most successful societies on earth were the ones who were the most God-fearing. What does it mean? People were honest not because they were afraid of being caught by the government, by the police. Today, you're not afraid of the government and the police because it's also people, and why should they work so hard to catch the offenders? No, the only way you can create a just society is that people are not afraid of the police. Yes, they are when they're young, when they're not really, just for the framework. But deep inside, to get the highest level of productivity, cooperation, creativity, creating of worth, it's when people have a vision bigger than life. And the vision is, I am successful because that's my way to serve God. And the connection to the God is endless. It's infinite because God is infinite. And that is the strongest economical engine. And because of that strong engine, that is the bliss for all of mankind, humankind, humanity, how do you call it? But if you do not follow that law of loving others, you just, we want to love others, but the moment it's not comfortable, you don't love them. More than that, you start to say, oh, I don't love that one, I don't love that. I'm not here, I'm not your brother, I'm not your friend, I'm not here for you. I'm here just for the ones that I care of for. That's becoming mafia. And that's also not strong enough. Realize that when humanity understands that, it's that how cruel we become when we do not really use the Torah. The purpose of the Torah is basically to lift our minds, our thoughts, our hearts on the way to the connection to the Creator. When we do that, we are better parents, children, workers, business people, parts of society, and then we can create a society that is functional. But the moment that doesn't exist, and that's a big World War III that we're at right now. The second one was also between people who do not believe in God. We're talking about Nazi Germany. They had their own cult. They were totally against any kind of the Judeo-Christian God. which demanded unconditional love to everyone, that you cannot steal or kill a human being just because he was made in the image of God. That was also communism. Killing people because they don't fit the ideology, this is totally against the biblical God, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. So that's how the war continued. And they lost all those tyrannies, but they didn't really lose. The fight goes on, and it comes to the surface right now. It's the same story all over again. And we just have to work on ourselves and remember that that consciousness is life or death to humanity. Thank you so much.